Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Fat Girl Life. I am your host, Kimberly. Tonight, we are going to be talking about ditching the diet mindset, which is just such a horrible trap to get caught into. But before we go into that conversation, you guys, I am letting everybody know buymeacoffee.com. By joining this website, you get supporter only content. You will have access to news before anybody else. And there's some big things coming up. And you're going to be helping me take this up to a national level. Help me spread this message of knowing your worth, loving your body, and loving yourself in the body that you are in. So make it important. Definitely buymeacoffee.com/, this fat girl life. Now let's jump right in. Tonight I am joined by Devyn Derkson. Devyn, thank you so much for being here tonight.
I'm super excited to be joining you guys, and I'm excited to talk about how you can ditch dieting. So thanks so much for having me.
Of course. Well, before we get into that conversation, why don't you tell everybody just a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Devyn. I am a weight neutral nutrition coach and holistic nutritionist. And yeah, I'm just like super passionate about helping people to fuel their body and love their body in a way that doesn't emphasize weight loss and actually just like learn the science behind nutrition. I was formerly a biologist, so I have a very strong science background, and I love explaining the science behind nutrition so that you can feel really empowered by like the foods that you're eating, and yeah, just like creating a lifestyle that's really food positive and not part of diet culture. So that's me.
I love that. And diet culture, I feel like, has really taken over. I have tried so many fad diets. I will freely admit it. I think the funniest one, I was going to say best one, but it really was not great. It was not healthy at all. Rice and peanut butter diet.
Oh my goodness.
And
I don't
that's
even know
literally
that.
all I ate for like 2 weeks was rice and peanut butter.
Wow, I did not know that that existed until this moment. But I'm sorry that you had to go through that.
Well, and I think, social media plays such a big part in how we view ourselves. And of course, on that, we see people talking about these different diets that they're on and really glorifying that. So, why don't you take a moment and explain to everybody why dieting is not a great thing?
Well, so I definitely take the perspective that dieting and chronic dieting, like it just ends up being no matter what you think is going to happen, like, you get the motivation to be like, oh, I'm going to start on Monday. I'm going to start this new diet. I'm going to be so strict about it. But it just, when your body goes into the starvation mode, you end up in a situation where you're literally hungry. Right? You're hungry and your
Mm-hmm.
body wants food, so you are going to end up in a situation where you want to be eating and, oh, sorry, there's a bit of an echo. Is it okay on your end?
Oh, I'm not hearing an echo at all.
Oh, okay. All good then. I just want to make sure that no one was hearing that. But yeah, so you end up in the situation where you're like in a chronic caloric deficit. Your body literally is crying out to you, like, feed me. And so it's going to go overboard. It's going to end up in a binge. You're going to feel bad about yourself. Like, how many people have been in this spiral or this cycle of like, no, I'm going to stick to it. And then I can't stick to it. And now I'm like so upset. So it just ends up in this like vicious cycle of, you might lose 2 pounds, gain three, like, and then, we just end up in this horrible cycle. Whereas if we had just been feeding our bodies from an intuitive place in the first place, like, we would have just been fine. Like, we wouldn't have been hungry, and your metabolism will also thank you for that. So it's just like, and these companies, like these brands or these influencers or whoever is perpetuating these ideas, like, they just really sell it on like the, well, you didn't have enough willpower, or you just couldn't stick to it, so you're grumpy, or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
right?
So, define what intuitive eating is.
Yeah, for sure. So the actual like definition of intuitive eating is like an evidence-based framework that was developed by Evelyn Trivoli and Elise Resch. I hope I'm saying her name right. I might not be. Sorry for her. But yeah, like they came up with this very like practical framework of just like, tuning into your body's cues, listening to your hunger, listening to your fullness, eating for satisfaction in a way that's totally like weight is not part of the conversation. Like it's about proper fueling and really listening to like your inner wisdom of your body because your body knows. Like it knows when it's hungry, it knows when it's full. We just develop these patterns through, like both being exposed to diet culture, but also just living really busy lives where we start to ignore, when am I actually hungry? When am I actually full? What does my body actually want nutrient wise? Right. So, yeah, I mean, I practice a combination of like lifestyle stuff and intuitive eating. So I'm not like, this big expert on intuitive eating in like the framework way, but it is a big tool in my toolbox.
Okay, so we actually have a guest question because I did previously have a guest on and we discussed BMI.
Mhm.
And so John would like to know your opinions on BMI.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, like, I know that this is definitely a big conversation right now, especially on social media. Like, is the BMI like an outdated tool? Like, where did this tool come from? And I'm certainly not an expert on where the tool came from, but it is certainly like a tool that doesn't really mean a whole lot for most people. And like, it's not like this is the thing just about weight in general is like it's not on its own like any type of indicator of health, right? Like we can look at, do you feel good in a lower or higher weight? Like that should really be the only question involved. And then other health indicators should be treated as separate, right? Because we know that like weight stigma and things like this
Mm-hmm.
are leading directly to negative health outcomes because people in larger bodies are going to doctors and they get dismissed often, unfortunately, because of the stigma associated. So in the intuitive eating book they talk quite a bit about this and how weight stigma literally leads to negative health outcomes just on its own, like separate from any other situations, right? So
Oh, and I completely get what you just said because I've actually dealt with that. I'm gonna you'll put part of my story out there. I have permanent nerve damage in my leg. When I first sought treatment for it, I actually went to an ER setting because I could not stand. I couldn't hardly walk. The pain was so bad. And it was dismissed as you pulled a muscle because of your weight and was told do physical therapy, get exercise. When in all honesty, I had a nerve that was pinched that had it been treated properly and I not been treated just as a fat person who was being lazy, I might have been able to avoid permanent damage. Now the nerve is permanently damaged and I can't feel my leg half the time because I was treated just as a lazy fat person.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm sorry that you had to go through that, but unfortunately that is like a situation that occurs, often because of weight stigma and because of like this, model that the BMI is modeled off of, right? Like unfortunately physicians end up with an education where they're super like everyone needs weight loss, like everyone needs to be this specific, like fit in this box, whereas like we're starting to realize like that's not true and we actually just need to like help people be healthy regardless of their weight.
So, what are some things that people can do at home on their own, without having to go to a gym or whatever, to maintain being healthy without putting overdue stress on their bodies?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's tons of things you can do, right? I think like we underestimate the power of like the simple things in life, like walking, like getting enough water. Like that is like the number one thing that you can do for yourself is getting enough water, regardless of anything else. Like you can't, no one can be like, well, I actually can't drink water because, like, no, you have to be drinking water to sustain your life. And most people aren't drinking enough of it. And you just notice such a difference. Like if you go
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow and you drink 3 liters of water and you are someone who previously wasn't drinking enough water, you're going to notice a difference like that.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I think is just like start to pay attention to the way that foods make you feel, regardless of like weight, like how you think about them. Like just start to think about like, does this food make me feel fueled? Like, how do I feel after eating this? That's a big thing that I work through with my clients because we don't really think about that too often, how the things make us actually feel. So, yeah, I don't know. I could like go on and on about this, but I think we just like make such a big deal about health. Whereas, like, you know, a lot of us are just like not drinking enough water, not getting enough sleep. Like, right before we jumped on this call, we're both like, we're so tired. Like, and I mean, sometimes that happens, right? Like, sometimes it's unavoidable, you know, but if you're like staying up late to watch Netflix and not getting enough sleep, like, you know, take
Yeah,
you can take some onus for that, right?
exactly. Well, and one of the things you commented on was, drinking water. What I actually do, because I'm bad about not always drinking enough water. I own that. But I have found those Hawaiian Punch like flavor packets that are sugar free.
Hmm.
Crystal Light makes them. You can get generic versions, whatever. Sugar free drink mix
Hmm.
in a bottle of water. It doesn't taste like plain water. You
Hmm.
taste taste like you're drinking actual fruit juice or whatever. And they even have soda flavored ones.
Yeah,
Like they have a ginger ale flavored one that I absolutely love, and it's
delicious.
sugar free.
Hmm.
So I get the flavor of the ginger ale without the sugar.
Totally. Yeah, like make it work for you. Like a lot of my clients will do like a flavored water, you know, they'll add fruit or cucumber, mint, lemon, like make it fun. You don't have to be like, "Oh, I have to drink a gallon of plain unflavored water every day," right? It can be fun. You could get a soda stream, like have lots of clients that do that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, and there's a new one, Circle, that I've
okay.
seen on TikTok.
Of course, TikTok,
TikTok.
right?
That's the joke around my house. TikTok made me do it. So, what are some easy exercises? Because I'm going to use myself as an example. I am overweight. If I'm not wanting to really kill my joints, what are some easy things that I can do just around my house or whatever? So I'm not going outside, especially right now. We have a whole lot of smoke in
Yeah.
our atmosphere because of the fires in California. So it's really hard to go outside and breathe all that in. What can I do inside my home where I have AC that isn't going to kill my joints?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not a a personal trainer or anything like that, but I think, you know, like, there's lots of simple at-home workouts you can do. I am definitely like an intense workout person, but yeah, like, just, you know, whatever you've got at home, it kind of depends on your setup. Even if you have like some 5 pound weights, there's lots of things that you can do with those. They're like not too bad on the joints. Um, I think just like I don't like for me, I'm such a big like walker and I also just love like cleaning the house. Like that's one of my favorite things to do for like easy movement is like, oh, I'm just gonna vacuum or do some
Never
dishes.
thought
Like,
about that.
right? Like that counts as exercise.
And so I know you work a lot with foods and that type of thing. So, what are some good foods that are going to help promote energy and give you that oomph that you need to make it through the day?
Totally. Yeah. So one of my favorite go-tos, oatmeal with fruit. Add in some chia seeds or hemp seeds. A lot of people are not including seeds in their diet because they're afraid of them, quite honestly. Like they see them as like a bad food because they're high fat and they're usually like higher calorie because they're high fat. But hemp seeds and chia seeds are some of my favorite foods to recommend to clients because they do pack a punch. They're super rich in micronutrients, high in healthy fats, and chia seeds are high in fiber. So they just like keep you fueled all day long. I love a good oatmeal bowl with like some oats, some seeds, raspberries, like yogurt. My favorite thing ever to get me through the day, honestly, along with like a fried egg or something.
I always see those overnight oats that
Yeah.
people make in the mason jars.
Yeah.
Are those, would that give the same effect?
Yeah, totally. And I just like I don't like my oats cold, so I like to make them fresh. But if you're okay with eating them cold, overnight oats are a great option. You just throw it together. Like so many recipes on Pinterest are for overnight oats, and they're going to be a great option. I think just making sure that you get some healthy fats in there. Nut butters are good options there. Maybe you're
Mhm.
still scarred from the peanut butter situation, but I think nut butters are really good. Yeah, like just making sure that you have healthy fats, I think, is a really good way to go. A protein, healthy fat. Yeah, I think a lot of my clients are honestly suffering from low energy because they're just not being mindful enough to include like the right mix of macronutrients, honestly. Like we're not thinking about protein, we're not thinking about fats, we're not thinking about fiber, and so you end up just with like a pretty like high carb, like low protein, like just under eating. And then of course you're exhausted because your body has no fuel.
Now, if somebody's wanting to reach out to you and work with you, how would they do that?
Yeah, for sure. The best way to find me is on Instagram. My Instagram is at Devyn.Derkson, DEVYN.DERKSEN. And yeah, like come find me there. I also host my own podcast. It's called the Busy Girl's Guide to Health podcast. I have really awesome guests on there. And yeah, we talk about all kinds of things. Like my solo shows are mostly about nutrition, but I also have guests on to talk about like anything from gentle movement. Like we talk about working out, we talk about meditation. Like I've had so many awesome guests on the show. So that's probably the best place to find me.
Okay, perfect. So, guys, definitely check out the podcast, check out the Instagram. You also do have some awesome tips on TikTok. I've watched them. I think those are amazing, and it's a lot of information packed in a little punch.
Mm-hmm.
So, definitely check out her TikTok. Devyn, I want to thank you so much for coming on here, for sharing this information with us. I think definitely it's important for people to realize that diet mindset and diet culture is not, ultimately it's not healthy, because you are in that constant vicious cycle. And really it is about knowing your body, and ultimately, just like, parents, we have that, parents intuition, women have women's intuition. Your body is going to tell you what it needs. It's
Yes.
a matter of being intuitive enough to listen to your body.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I just want to say too, like, there's no shame in being someone who has like struggled with this stuff because it's like everywhere. It's really hard to get away from it. And so if you're feeling like you resonate with this, like make sure, like, regardless of who you reach out to, like reach out to someone and say, like, I could really use support with this because it can be really hard to get out of it on your own. Without somebody else there to help guide you through it.
I completely agree. Well, I do have one final question for you. I
Mhm.
ask this of every guest that comes on my show. What is one thing that you love about yourself?
Ooh, okay. This is like maybe gonna sound vain, but I love my hair. Like, I love to take care of my hair. It's like my number one self-care thing is just to like do a cute, like a shampoo or like a fun hairstyle. Obviously, I've kind of got, just like some beachy waves going on right now. But yeah, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm like maybe a little too obsessed, but it's my number one favorite thing about at least my outward appearance. So
You know what, though? I love that you mentioned that it is your self care because people forget how important self care really is.
mhm.
So I love that you take that self care for your hair, for yourself. That's something that you do that makes you feel good and helps you to relax. So it's important.
Yeah, for sure. I also love doing makeup, but I'm not very good at it, so I'm working on it.
I bribed somebody with Dutch Brothers to come over and do my makeup earlier today. Not even gonna lie, like I don't even play with that.
Right? It's hard. You watch a tutorial and then you're like, I don't know what to do.
Oh, right? Totally get that. Well, you guys, that is all that I have for you today. I will be back next week with another fabulous guest. Again, if you want to help me to take this to a national level, please, please, please consider sponsoring this podcast. Go to buymeacoffee.com/this fat girl life. If you could do a one-time donation, you could do a monthly sponsorship. There are multiple options. So definitely help keep me caffeinated and let's get this message to a national platform. You guys have a great night and I'll see you next week.